Hello, I pressed record and I was woefully emotionally unprepared to welcome us into the episode. But hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to Real Talk with Jesse and Sherrard. Woo!
Woo!
And our topic today is going to be talking about stress, but just literally that. Like, we're just going to talk to each other about what's stressing us out. Part of it even being that we are recording this the day before we need to post it because
Yes.
we have been dealing with other real life stress that's been going on, both Jesse and I. And as does the world. But I texted Jessie about seeing if she wanted to do this episode because I was having a meeting with my counselor. I know I've mentioned her before. Shout out Bonnie. I check in with her about once a month is kind of my routine. Unless I'm going through a rougher time and want to meet more, whatever. That's not really the point. But I signed on for my session with her and I was basically like, okay, right now in this moment, I'm fine. But I have three things I really need to talk to you about. And like listed them off with just stuff I had going on and was feeling really stressed. And yeah, basically Bonnie was like, okay, and we're kind of going through talking about how I'm thinking about these things and what I'm doing to take care of myself. And she's like, yeah, like, I mean, you're fine. Like, you're taking care of yourself, your thoughts aren't going into like a, impractical place with anxiety. You're just stressed out because stressful stuff is happening and that's okay. Um, and I think, especially knowing how much Jesse and I really love to talk about self-care and self-maintenance and things like that, that doesn't mean that you're never supposed to feel anything and
Right.
that it's totally okay to feel stressed when things are stressful. That doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. That means that stressful stuff is happening to you. Um, so that is Jesse and I's goal for today is that we're just going to kind of download with each other and with y'all about what's stressing us out and kind of try and model for everyone that, the gentle art of listening is really important. So we're not going to give each other any advice. We're not going to give each other any uh silver lining type of statements. And we're not going to ask any probing questions. I think that is the thing that sometimes gets lost so much in listening is that so many people will end up not wanting to like talk anymore because somebody's trying to relate. So they're asking a bunch of questions, but you're actually asking questions about part of the story that somebody doesn't want to talk to you about. Or they might not understand why you're asking it or anything like that. That is a skill I am very much needed to learn and was glad I've learned through my career and mental health where it's like, don't ask a bunch of questions. Nobody wants that. They will tell you what they want to talk about. That's a tangent though. So Jesse and I are ready to vent for each other. I know we've both had a lot going on. So yeah, we just encourage everybody to find your space where you can let your stressors out and know that talking about it doesn't mean that you won't be stressed out by what is stressing you, but it can just help your body feel calmer, help your mind feel calmer just to have someone just listen to you and just get that gunk off of your chest.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I like that you said that, that you had to learn not to ask probing questions. Cause I know like when I was on the line, when I first started, I would always want to like fix it. I would
Mhm.
always be like, okay, because they were so sad and stuff. So I'd be like, okay, so what is some ideas I can come up with to maybe help this person? And then like you come to realize like they're not really looking all the time just to get like a help answer. They're like, just want someone to listen. So it's just like you said, I think a lot of people forget that like that's the biggest thing. Like I've seen like lately everywhere on like TikTok, social media, like if you just spend 13 minutes or 12 minutes with somebody just listening, not asking questions, just being there, it can change like that person's whole mind frame of if they were having suicidal thoughts, if they were depressed or just going through something, just spending time with them for a minute, being quiet, letting them say what they need to say, and then you kind of just give each other that acknowledgement, like I heard you, and then you just move on. It says that the study shows that it's more helpful than probing and asking questions and trying to fix it because, like you said, it's okay to be stressed, and just because there's not always you can't always fix it. So when you're trying to come up with things, that person's probably already came up with them in their head either way. So it just kind of stresses them out as you're stressing them out. So at that point, it's not good.
Yeah, or that somebody's not ready to like make a move on problem
Right.
solving. And that's fine too. Like everybody has to go through their like I know for me it's like I basically stay in that like contemplation or pre-contemplation stage for a very long time, like letting
Mhm.
things percolate in the back of my head because then like once I'm ready, I'm like, okay, and then I take action. But for some people that are, I guess it technically is like, like might look like procrastinating, but it's like, no, I just like to do everything like once I'm ready to do it, and then it's all done. I'm not someone that like takes little steps or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that, like, also most of the time, if somebody wants advice, like, they'll ask you for that, where someone will
Right.
be like, "Help me figure out what I wanna do with this," or whatever, like,
Yeah.
and when someone doesn't ask that, then, like, normally they just need to, like, get their thoughts out because it helps us organize them. And then, like you said, Jesse, having someone just listen to you makes you feel a connection to someone that's very like interpersonal and real. And that right there can just kind of steady out your nervous system. And especially, like you mentioned, if you're talking about like with thoughts of suicide, just having someone listen and relate to you and be in that space with you. I mean, that's the biggest thing you can do to help somebody.
Yeah, definitely. Like, because I feel like a lot of people just feel like they're more not heard and they're alone. And then, like you said, sometimes when you talk to people, you feel like you might be judged, or if the stressor's coming from your family, you really might not can't run to them, because then it might cause a bigger problem. So the fact that they can call and just kind of vent, not really looking for an answer, and sometimes they'll figure it out in their head. I mean, I've been on the phone before, and they're processing it as they're talking to me. They're like, you know what, this is what I need to do. They didn't need me to give them advice. They didn't need me to be like, well, this is what I think. No, they just needed me to listen so they can process it, and make a decision if they're ready at that moment. And sometimes they're not. Like you said, sometimes they just need to talk about it. And I've had people be like, all right, well, I just need to get that off my chest. And, now I'm going to go to work and I won't be thinking about it and I'll figure it out later. And they're better. They feel better, So I do think the best thing, like you said, is just listening. I mean, that's all you really can do. And like you said, most people that do want advice, 9 times out of 10 they ask, or they'll be like,
Mhm.
"Or what do you think?" Then okay, you can say, "This is how I feel," or "This is what I think." But if there's a lot of times they're not looking for that. They just really want to be heard, is what I've learned in this kind of line of work.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost more like you have to like ask someone not to give you advice. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? To be like,
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you in this moment to get this out of my mind. I don't want you to tell me anything in response.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember my roommate and I used to do that in college, and little did we know we were being so healthy to each other. But like we would get home sometimes and be like, okay, can I just like vent to you for like 10 minutes and you don't even really have to all the way pay attention, but like just like let me get everything out of my mouth. So we would do that for each other a good bit. Just and about like blah 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 annoyed me at work today or whatever. But like
Yeah.
it's nice to just have an uninterrupted time of just like, I know that you're not going to fix any of this for me. Thank you. I just literally want a space with a person here to get all of these words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like my go-to person is usually like my mom, because like and it's so funny because my mom's my best friend, but I'll call her, and I remember so many times I've called her when I was younger, and I was like, okay, I need you to think as a friend right now, not a parent, no judgment, but I'm just gonna tell you what's going on and what how I feel, and it's probably so hard for her because she's probably thinking, oh, my crazy child, but like she's the best. Like she'll be like, okay, okay, and then like she'll talk to me, and then she'll be like, well, if there's anything else you want to talk about, let me know. And I'm like, okay, thanks, mom. I just needed to get that out, and I'll hang up. And I know she'll text me like 30 minutes later, you still okay? It's cute because, parents worry about you, but it's cool that, I have that with her, because I don't have a lot of friends. So like I vent to like her, my mom-in-law, my wife, and my sister the most. And I just have to be like, hey, I just need you to listen. I don't need anything from you. I just need to know that you're listening a little bit. Like even if you just kind of like playing your game still, like I said, just need to know that you're still listening a little bit, and it's good just to feel heard, just to feel, like when you are going through tough times, that you don't have to do it alone.
You don't have to keep it to yourself,
Yeah,
and that like the way you feel in this moment about what is happening to you is fine.
yeah,
Like nothing has to change about that. That doesn't mean that you're not taking care of yourself. It's okay to be stressed, angry, sad, anxious, all of that. Like, are you doing your best to take care of yours? Even in thinking about it, I guess I'm jumping ahead to talking about my stressful stuff, but so Lewis, my husband, had surgery last week on his back, and it was a little bit more intense than we had emotionally prepared ourselves for.
yeah,
And, so I stayed with him at the surgery center, of course, and he was there for 2 nights, and, like, it was just really stressful, and I feel like really self-centered being like, his surgery was really stressful for me. But it was because I hated seeing him in so much pain. And so like I just like didn't eat for like 2 days because it was just like I'm not hungry. I can't deal with this. Like, I just want to like be here and in my thoughts, basically. And my mom and dad were, of course, texting me to be like, have you eaten? Do you want us to come bring you food? Do you want us to do this? And I was like, no, I'm really like, I'm fine. And my mom texted me something and she's like, I know you're okay. Just worry about you, if you're not taking care of yourself. And I was like, okay, I'm not right now, but I'm aware of it,
Right,
And so like I also like don't consider that a shortcoming. Like I was like, I'm having this like 3 days basically where I just know I'm not really taking care of myself because I'm pretty overwhelmed, but there's
right,
nothing that's going to like take this being overwhelmed away from me. And I know like once we get home and I can get back in my routine, I will be taking care of myself. And I did. Like we got home and the next day I got back more in my routine, went for a walk, was drinking more water. I'm still not doing great with water because it really re-spiked back up my Diet Coke feeding. But started cooking food again. Like it was just like it's fine. So I also don't like think that I was kind of glad for myself in that moment of being like, no, I'm not really taking care of myself right now. But
yeah.
I know that just right now that's not what I'm capable of. These 2.5 days just will not be that. But that's okay.
Yeah, and I think that's important that you can realize that because, like you said, you were so overwhelmed that you were worried about him that you couldn't, you couldn't eat, you couldn't do those things, and that's okay to feel like that, And I
Mhm.
think that's really important, for even for our viewers, just to know that like sometimes you do the best you can, and that's all you can do. Like when you're that stressed out or going through those things, it's okay not to, be okay. It's okay to be stressed, and if you go off the path, a day or so. Okay, it happens, and you just got to give yourself that grace to know, okay, like you told yourself, I know when I get back home, it's going to be okay. I'm going to, do this, this, and this. It's good that you know yourself that well because that's important, and I think, not all situations are the same, but, sometimes it happens where you're just I mean, when I lost my grandpa, I mean, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I knew I wasn't taking care of myself. And I knew I had to get through the funeral and everything to process what happened to where I could, talk to myself like, okay, you haven't ate, you haven't done this, you need to, you know, think about your, get back right a little bit. And I mean, that is a process. And, everybody handles things differently.
Yeah, and I think it's like don't stress yourself out trying to get unstressed,
Right.
Like in that moment for those couple days for me, like if I mean the surgery center was in the middle of it for anybody from Baton Rouge, Perkins Row. So it was like there's restaurants and stuff all over the place that I could have easily walked to, gotten delivered, whatever. So it's
Right.
like it wasn't like I can't figure out how to feed myself. It was just like I just I can't do that right now. Like food
Right.
doesn't sound good. I'm really like this like hit me emotionally a lot more than I thought it was going to. And I think once I was actually able to also just like communicate that to my mom that I was like, I know I'm not taking care of myself right now, but I'm going to,
Yeah.
that like that even then helped her where she's like, okay, so she gets it. She's not blind to that right now. She's not eating and not really sleeping and stuff like that. It's just like these are different circumstances and like I don't know. I think that it's important to let your like for you yourself to know that that doesn't mean that you are failing if you have a little
Right.
period of time where you're like just not great right now. That's okay. I know it. So I'm gonna let this kind of hump pass and then I can get back on it.
Yeah, and I think that's so important that, I think that's why it's so important to know yourself, to kind of know how you handle situations and things like that. Because, like you said, certain situations, it may be like that. You may not be able to eat. You may not be able to sleep as well versus another situation, you're able to eat, you're able to sleep, you can. And, so I think it's helpful to know who you are and realizing like what you're going through and that it's okay and you're definitely not failing if something's harder than what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, because if you put so much pressure on yourself in that way, then it's like you might not be able to have that awareness of being like, no, right now
Right.
I am too overwhelmed. I'm not really taking care of myself, but I admit that, I accept that, and here's my plan when I'm gonna get back on track. Like if you're gonna kind of deny yourself that experience, then I think that's when you could get into a stage where like my mom might have continued to be more worried if it's like I'm not acknowledging that I'm not like taking care of myself the best right
Mhm.
now because then you have to think like, are you ever going to? Like, when is this going? Like, what is this?
Right.
Is it a downward spiral or is it, you know what I mean? So,
Right. Yeah.
where it was like, no, I'm just trapped in a surgical center with my husband in extreme pain, and I don't. We were there for like 2 days, like a little over 48 hours, and like it felt like 3 weeks. Like I lost all sense of time. I had no idea what was
Oh,
happening. I don't think
wow.
I left that room. Um, Yeah, that was a weird thing for me. I don't know. I just like so he had surgery on his spine, a pretty like intense one. That they had told us like that the recovery was gonna be, a lot and pretty extreme, but it needed to be done. And I had like prepped myself for being like nervous like during the surgery.
Right.
So my mom came and sat with me while he was in surgery and I was fine. And they have a really great staff there that they were like, keeping me updated with everything. And whatever. And so once he was like out of surgery, I was kind of like, okay, well now, nothing's going to be stressful. And then like, oh my gosh, seeing him in so much pain where like he can't move without excruciating pain and just like being so helpless in that type of situation where like there's nothing I can do and I hate that. Like I can't even use my stellar active listening skills right now because he's so tired and exhausted. That's not what we're doing,
Right.
So
Oh, wow.
so I just like I hated that, and I don't think I've ever been in such a like prolonged situation of feeling like I
Yeah.
can't do anything to help. Um so yeah, it was just really really rough and it was just hard being like everything's thrown off. He can't even move his body. Like and then having to like force yourself to go through like excruciating pain because you have to move because that's part of getting better. But then it was like all of these, like we were with like physical therapists and occupational therapists because it's like he has to move like in very specific ways because of
Mhm.
the like hardware they had to put in his spine. So he can't like twist or bend or anything. So like even getting out of bed took like multiple lessons for us to like figure
Wow.
out how to move that way and stuff. So he's in so much pain, but then he has to be like thinking through every movement he makes. And it's just like, it was just a lot. And I just like was not emotionally prepared for that. So it was like, Lewis is great. I cried. But there was just one moment after we'd met with the first occupational therapist, and I just realized like I didn't prepare at all for when we were going home. Like I just had like no thoughts like that at all. So I was like ordering different things we needed, just like a little like stool so that he can get into bed the way he's supposed to, and some like stuff for the shower so he doesn't have to bend over, and just like little things like that that I
Right.
just like didn't think about. And that was just afterwards I like burst into tears. I made my Amazon order and just like I don't know, then it just like hit me. I finally got like overwhelmed and I just like started sobbing and I was like, I'm sorry, Liz. I don't know why I'm crying. And, like, and you're the one that's in pain on the bed. And he was very sweet about it because he always is. Thankfully. And so yeah, it's just odd the way things like hit you, where it's like me making my Amazon order is like what like sent me over the edge. But it was like I didn't think of it. It was just like finally like made it hit me that I was like, man, my husband's coming home from extreme back surgery and like he can't move around. Like, and I just hadn't, that
Right.
was like what made me finally like accept it, I guess. I just didn't do that before. Um, one of the occupational therapists, I wanted to ask her, I was like, have you taken lessons in active listening? Because she clearly like saw my stress when I'm trying to figure out what to order on Amazon. And she's like looking at stuff with me and the Wi-Fi wasn't great. And I'm like, oh, my phone won't load. And she was like, yeah, she's like, that definitely happens. And it can be really stressful. And I was like, you're good. So, but yeah, that's been the majority of what's been going on with me. So I was off work last week, which stresses me out in and of itself when it's not like for vacation.
Yeah.
Because so I'm like trying to force myself not to work because I'm like, you're not in the headspace for it. But then it's like, oh, my emails are coming in. So let's hold. And you know what? Everybody survived. Thankfully, we're back home.
Yeah.
I have answered all of my emails. And, yeah, but I just like going into that was like really I was stressed for the surgery and then I don't think I had like prepped myself to be like emotionally prepared for like after the surgery. I only was like thinking about the actual surgery.
Yeah. That
So,
makes sense.
That was our week last week. I'm sweating now just talking about it. I am. My back, I'm like my back is sweating. So um, yeah, so that's what we've been doing. Lewis is in the other room because he's home now. Hope he doesn't hear me talking about him. Oh yeah, it's on a podcast, so he'll hear it. So
Yeah.
oh, but that was me. I feel better.
Yeah. I mean, I just I have anxiety, so I stress about everything. Like that's the bad thing about anxiety. Like I worry about like next week what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it. But my major stress lately's just been like my grandma. So she lives with my parents, and my parents take care of her, and she has so many issues. And like my dad, he just started working back full time because he was staying at home with her, take care of her. And my mom was working, and also like on weekends my dad would work part-time, and then my mom would still have to do everything. So I always stress about my mom because like I mean she's not old by any means, like she's only 20 years older than me and I'm 38, so you know, I mean she's not that old, but it's like she has her health issues too, like her back's not the best, she has a rod in it. But she always over pushes herself, you know, so I just like that's my biggest like I think about her all the time because I just feel bad. Like I know my dad does like the best he can to help and stuff, but like he's older too. So like when he gets home late, he's tired, he doesn't get as much sleep. And then my grandma's issues that she's having, it's like all the doctors are coming up with like let's do this, let's do that. You know, there's trial and error. And, you know, I mean, granted, she can't help some of it. But at the same time, it's like the things that she can help, she doesn't, like with
Mhm.
moving and stuff. And I guess I get frustrated and stressed out because then it's like my mom's still having to run around and do everything. And so that's hard for me to like go on weekends and watch her have to like because she watches her Monday through Friday, and then she doesn't really get to get out if she wants to. And then like so on weekends, like when my dad is off, he's tired from the week and he just wants to relax. And so like we'll try to go down there and help, or you know, just spend time with my mom so she can like have some type of different type of conversation with an adult versus, you know, just always talking, you know, to somebody that's older and can't really have conversations with. So, and then my sister's also pregnant, and so that's stressful because
Yeah.
you know her last thing didn't go so well, and she had to get a cerclage, and you know we got to monitor the pregnancy and really well and make sure you know nothing. So I stress about everything. Like I said, like I just worry mostly about my family because I just want everybody to be okay. And you know when you watch your parents grow up, you know, or you know as they're getting older, not grow up, they're already grown, but just you know you have a different you know outlook. Like for my parents, you know, like before my grandpa died, they were like staying up like little teenagers watching movies and rekindling and you know, just happy. And then, you know, you just see them so stressed out all the time now that it's kind of heartbreaking. Like, that's not what the kind of life you want for them, you know, because they're older and, you know, you never know when your clock is going to run out. And I just don't want the last years for them to be like super stressful. Like, I want them to be able to still enjoy life and go out and do stuff and travel and enjoy what, you know, the world like they should be. And, I know it's not my grandma's fault, you know. I mean, I admire both of my parents for taking care of her, but sometimes it can be a little frustrating when, you know, she doesn't always help herself. And I'm like, you know, if you would just help out a little bit, you know, I would feel a little
Yeah.
bit better. But again, she was with my grandpa for like 60 something years and he did everything. So I don't think she knows how to like really live without him in a sense. But it just seems like every thing just gets worse. You know, it's like all this hope for things to get better, you know, these surgeries and stuff for her, nothing ever changes. So it's almost like, you know, you're like, okay, it's gonna get better after this surgery, and then the surgery goes by and there's like 40 different new issues. So it's just kind of not I don't mean to be frustrated at my grandma, but it's just overall frustrating to see my parents like that, I guess. Because they're not it's not what you expected. Like my dad, he's changed a lot because he has to do a lot of different things. So it's hard watching him like be tired all the time, and with that he's kind of irritable and just tired. They're both just really tired, and when you watch your parents go through that, it's just kind of tough. So I think about it all the time, or try to find like ways I can help and be there for them when I'm able to be down there. But yeah, I guess that's my major thing, is just my family, just wanting everything to go okay for them. And, you can't make it happen. You just kind of have to ride the waves with them, but it's still hard.
Yeah.
So I just hope it all just, gets better. And if it doesn't, I'll be there for him any way I can be. And that's what I keep telling myself, and I tell my mom, if you and dad need to go out, like I can come down and watch grandma, and, I can help you out anyway, and we've done that before, like where we bought them like gift cards, because they'll be like, oh, we're okay, or, don't worry about it. So I buy gift cards now that they have to go out, and I show up. I'm like, well, you got to go now, So, I try to do things like that to get them out of the house, or like, tell my mom, hey, I'm going to come down this weekend and I'm going to get the boys and we'll hang out, or, spend time together. So that's always helpful. She's told me like it helps me coming down, and her just, even if all we do is sit on the couch and talk, like that's a relief and her happy place. So that makes me feel good. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's hard just seeing your parents kind of suffer.
Yeah, especially when you're so close with them. And like you said, you just want them to be able to have a great, enjoy their relationship because you know that they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I hope you didn't start sweating like I did. You seemed
I
like
did kind of a little bit, just a little
you.
bit.
Oh, well, it's nice to get the just like get the gunk out though. It's
Yeah,
underestimated. And we would like to remind everybody that 988 is available 24 hours a day, text and call. Just, I don't think I'm saying that right. Dial 988 to call, or just text 988. You're going to reach a live person. And remember that 988 is absolutely there if you are in crisis, if you are having thoughts of suicide, if you are even planning to attempt suicide. We are there for all of that. We are also there for you when you need to get the gunk out too.
yeah,
Just like Jesse and I have been doing right now, you can call 988 when you're not sure who you can talk to and you need to get some stuff off your chest. Never hesitate to call 988. I didn't even know I was going into my rhyme, but I did. Um, and fun fact that September 8th is the second annual 988 day. So
yeah.
we're doing some cool stuff at V-Link for anybody listening who lives in Louisiana. We are going to be having 988 day at the Capitol. So that is going to be a free event from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Formal Gardens at the State Capitol. So if you'd like to learn any more, we've got a bunch posted on our website, vialink.org, and our social media. Or you can reach out to us here. You can email realtalk@vialink.org, or leave us a comment if you'd like to participate in 988 Day in any way. Just let us know. We're happy to get you some information.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I feel very calmed now. I think I think I like brought my adrenaline up while I was talking, and now I'm like, I feel soothed. I feel like I need like a nap.
Yeah. I get that. But I think that's just how it works. Like when you're able to just get it out, because it keeps you, your mind going and everything. And once you just be able to get it out, you just feel, a little bit better. You feel calmer about the situation. You feel better, even though you may not be able to change it, at least talking about it helps, and knowing that you've been heard. I mean, that's the most important thing.
I absolutely think so. I mean, I think probably, Jesse and I both having worked on the helplines, like, and you really, through the training that we go through, you do learn how helpful it is to really listen and get and really build up your like listening skills in that way. Not that I'm perfect in my personal life, but I really try. but it can also make you realize a lot more, like, when someone's not listening. Because I know, like, for me, and it's usually pretty apparent, and I don't have a very good poker face, but, like, if I'm telling someone something and they just immediately start asking me questions, even if they're, like, just trying to be helpful or whatever, or they just start being like, "Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Do you want this?" I, like, get so annoyed so instantly.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't try to express that in any way because it's someone just trying to help, so I just but I'm pretty sure people can tell because 'cause I'm like, "Mm." But, yeah, it just is very nice sometimes to just have someone listen and just have them go, "Yeah, totally," you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm such an open book. Like I'll always like with my mom and sister or like my wife, if I want advice, I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna tell you what I'm going through and I want to know what you think or what would you do. But like if I don't usually say that, then I don't really need you to be like, oh, I think you should do this. Cause then I'm like, I've already thought about that. Already thought about the next 50 things you're gonna tell me I should try. So like 9 times out of 10, I'm just like, hey, I just really need you to just listen. I don't need any advice. I don't need you to try to find the answer to the solution because there's not one at this point. Because my brain just always that's how my brain thinks. Like if I have an issue and I will go through every bad thing that could happen. I'll go through every good thing. I'll go through every possible solution. By the time I talk to somebody, I already know like I either can't fix it or it's gonna take some time or I just I'm just done and I just need to talk about it.
Yeah, I completely understand. Because I feel like that with so many people who do have anxiety, like you and I both talked about having, like it's like you think through all the scenarios, and I know
Yeah.
for me, like I catastrophize. Like that is just how my anxiety manifests a lot. So it's almost sometimes like on purpose when I can tell something is really stressing me out that I'm like, no, like I cannot think about it. I cannot start problem solving it. I cannot think about any of it because all I'm going to do is like go to this like unhealthy catastrophizing place. So it's like
Right.
better off for me in this moment that I kind of back burner it. And so that's why I think sometimes I can get more frustrated when someone's like asking me questions, like not all the time, but sometimes where it's just like I don't want to, I'm not thinking about that right now, you know?
Right.
Um, but I am glad that I think am really surrounded by a lot of like wonderful friends, and my parents are both great that I can literally like just say I don't want to talk about that, and they'll be like, oh, okay,
Right.
and it's not like, and I think that that's something that we can normalize too, like that it's not dramatic. I don't think I'm being rude or you're being rude or anything. It's
Right.
like I'm not prepared to communicate about this right now,
Yeah. I definitely agree. And what I will say, like, I have to brag on V-Link for a minute because I feel like truly blessed to work for VLink. This company is amazing. What I like about VLink is that if you're having like a tough time and stuff, like everybody, whether that be coworkers, managers, they're always willing to just hear you out. Or like if like when I was on the lines, if we had like tough calls and we needed to just like process it a little bit longer, like what I liked was that you can call them and they will literally listen to you and not not judge you, not whatever. Like they sympathize with you. They're like, yeah, that was tough, and are you good, and I there's not a lot of many workplaces that are like that. Like I know we work in mental health and people just probably assume it's because we work in mental health, but I feel like if we were doing something completely different with the same people, like I feel like all the people that we work with would be the same way. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's I love this job just because like I feel like they really do care, one, about your mental health, and two, like just in general, like they do check-ins, they do, they'll send emails like, when you're doing good or like they'll check in on you and things like that. And like some people, you get burnout and you need a break. And you'll have people be like, hey, I'm just struggling this, today or whatever. And so many responses of how many coworkers will help you out. Like that's such a beautiful thing because you don't see that at a lot of places. I mean, I've worked other places in mental health and it's not like that. And with ViaLink, like they just really care about, not only their employees, but like, the people who call the lines or the people who need help. Like they're always trying to, one up and do better and like figure out things as far as like how we can help more people, and sometimes you don't always have that in a company. So like I just feel very blessed to be a part of VLink just because it's really been an eye opener for me, like how, to be treated at a job. Cause I used to, be at other jobs and they didn't care about things and they didn't, check on your mental health. And then there's been other places, like I worked at McDonald's at one point and they cared more about my mental health than when I worked like at a hospital. And it was so crazy. But it's just nice to also work for a company that realizes that there's real life stressors out there, that there's life that happens, instead of like how people get scared with certain jobs to call out or to talk to people about what they're going through. Like with VLink, they open with open arms, and I think that's amazing.
I think so too. I think kneeling creates a space where like everybody who works there is like really passionately on fire for the work that we do. And
Yeah,
then being able to do it for an agency that is so supportive because the employees, and I think that starts from the very top with our CEO, Lavondra. I have so much respect for her and just
yeah.
really think she's incredible with the like culture she's created for our
Hmm.
agency because she's like, no, like my people who work for me are amazing and I will take care of them, you know? And
Yeah.
I think I really appreciate that because I mean, I think V-Link has been way ahead of the times in, like you said, Jesse, like creating that like policy, like where it's like, look, if you have a day where you're overwhelmed, I trust you. That is your day where you're overwhelmed. You need a break, you need time off, you need whatever it is, like we're going to give that to you as best as we can because it's real. Like, that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, have a fever and that be the only time that you get off work. Like, sometimes
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
what it is. I mean, told this story, I think, on the podcast before. I know I have when I've done presentations on burnout and stuff. And I'm like, our CEO is one of the first people I called when I went through a really bad breakup because I was like, I can't work today. Like,
Yeah.
and she's like, no, you can't take the day off,
Yeah.
and things like that. And like so many people from our office like texted me with Lewis's surgery and like all kinds of stuff where it's just really nice, like knowing like to work in a space, I can't I mean, I've been so spoiled to work for Vealing for so long now that it's, like, hard to even remember what it was like, and I've worked in some incredible offices too, a lot of them not in the mental health field,
Right.
but, like, truly never felt so, like, comfortable and supported by work that it's, like, one of the only things I don't, like, stress about is, like,
Right.
actually, like, my employment and my job, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I truly feel valued, and because of that value that I feel, I will give 100%, but I also know that, like, I get to give myself a break when I need one too.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, like I've only been with VLink. This October will be for 3 years, and I was with my other job a little bit longer, and I've never felt valued. I never felt valued there, but here I mean, they just treat you so well and they appreciate, new ideas. They appreciate, things that you come up with or, they ask, like at our quarterly meetings, they ask our opinions on how we think things can run better, if we have any like suggestions. And other companies do that too, but then like sometimes they're like, okay, cool, and they just move on. And it's like you didn't even like you're like, okay, like you didn't even listen. I wasn't even done talking. But with Via Link, it's not like that. And it's just so nice because it is like most people have that stressor as a job, like they're scared to call their bosses or they don't their environment's not the greatest, and so that's one thing that I will say, like as long as I've been working here, that's one thing that's never been stressful as far as like worrying about my employment or worrying about if I felt valued, because I have felt valued from day one. I mean, the training they give you, they're in it. They're not gonna let you fail. And if you do feel like you need to work on things, they're like, okay, let me know. We're gonna work on it. We'll set a time. And that's really hard to find. So I just had to shout out V-Link because I will say like that's one thing that I've never in the last and so far the past 3 years, I haven't had to worry about it being like a stressor in my life. And that's the first time in a very long time.
Yeah. And I really encourage that for all agencies, businesses, etc. Like, look at what your policies are
Yeah.
about leave, about taking breaks, about debrief, all of that, because like you have the right to feel taken care of by your job. We all devote so much time to them. And, I really encourage that like coming forward with like mental health struggles should not be punitive ever, no matter what field you work in, that you
Right.
should have enough time off that you can take some just to like take it, just to have a breather, that you have a space to talk about your frustrations and it's not this formal, review or something, that like there is this space of like, this is, affect, because all jobs have that. It's not just like if you work in mental health,
Yeah,
and
right. Yeah.
so it's really important, I think, to show value to the people that you work for. And for if you feel like your company doesn't like, advocate for yourself, see if you can get your group together, find out what policies are not as up to date as they should be. Someone's at my door. I think it's just Amazon. And sorry, recording. And lost my train of thought now. But I can't answer it. I don't have pants on. And we're recording our podcast. Okay, I'm just gonna go for the best. Okay. I have no idea what I was saying. Hello? Oh my gosh, it's my in-laws. Y'all come on in. um, hi. My mother and father-in-law are here. I'm recording our
Aw.
podcast. Um, we're almost done. Okay, so with that, maybe we wrap up. Maybe that was our sign from the universe.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry everyone. But this is real talk. Okay. Hey, this has been Real Talk with Jesse and Sherrod with this is a very real and okay. Shall we do our sign off?
Yeah, let's do it.
This has been Real Talk with Jesse and Sherrod. No,
No
no filters,
filters.
clearly. No fluff,
No fluff, just real
just real
talk.
talk. Bye.
Bye, guys.